Ooh, would you look at that? Got a very red, delightful blurb here for you today. Greetings and all that stuff. What we have here is the Argus, or at least a version of it. This is release candidate 1, unit number 9. Yeah, this is this is one of the most exciting projects to come out in a while. Although it hasn't really come out. Yeah, this is a bit of a weird one, not gonna lie. So this right here, the Argus, is a Gravis Ultrasound clone. A modern one of those, yeah. Honestly, never thought I'd see the day that this would be a thing, but here we are. And yeah, it is specifically a clone of one of the plug-and-play versions of the Gus. So that came out in 1995, and a lot of those, as this one is as well, is based on this AMD Interwave chip. You saw that in a fair number of the officially sanctioned clones as well, like the Compact Ultrasound, and there's like 5 or 6 others maybe that used this particular chip instead of the GF1. And yeah, based on the plug and play, as opposed to, like, say, the Classic or the Max. Like, here's a Gravis Ultrasound Classic. These are the only ones that I've ever used. They all have like the GF1 chip, and they're not plug and play, so you set everything with jumpers instead of software. But yeah, I love these cards. I've done a full video about the Gravis Ultrasound goodness over on LGR, so check that out if you'd like a more in-depth overview of what the card is, its history, what it does, what makes it so awesome and not so awesome in some cases. And yeah, that's not what this video is for. This is just a blurb video. I want to talk about this clone because all of the Gravis Ultrasound cards, plug and plays included, they're just increasingly hard to find, expensive, and continually sought after by a certain subset of MS-DOS music-oriented folks, especially those that like playing old demos and games with Amiga-like music and stuff. It's awesome if you're into this, which I certainly am. So I've been really wanting to take a look at this for a long time. And yeah, it's got 4 megs of RAM installed on here at the moment. And yeah, I don't actually know if there's any enhancements necessarily, but this is a project put together by some folks on the Vogons forums. You can see specifically a bunch of names mentioned right there. And yeah, functionally, it's pretty much just a Gravis Ultrasound plug and play from 1995, made with new parts for the most part. I guess they sourced these Interwave chips from something. But yeah, fantastic stuff. And this is all thanks to LGR viewer Nicholas. Thank you so much for offering to send this in. I'm just borrowing this. This is not mine, though I wish it was. But yeah, it's, like I said, this is not really available publicly. And you know, this one is not even the final one, although functionally it's supposed to be the same as the final ones. I think the final edition PCBs are blue instead of red. I really love the red, though, because it's that classic Canadian Gravis red. ATI did that as well. But yeah, there is no mass production planned for this thing. There were just a select number of PCBs that were released. And this project, I mean, I've been following this for years. I think it's been going on the Vogons forum since 2015. And just sort of a crowdsourced, or, you know, crowd put together project. Not even really much of a crowd. It's just a select number of folks on the forums. And the project owner or leader, they go by Shock. Yeah, they're just not interested in mass producing this or selling them or even making any more boards. Apparently they've had, you know, some hard times lately, and it's just not a priority at all. And yeah, some other challenges along the way. So really there were only a select number of folks that were getting the project started and backing the creation of some of these PCBs. Nicholas happened to be one of them. Yeah, he goes by Synoptic, I think he's probably on here somewhere. Yeah, right there, Synoptic. So that's Nick. Not too many folks have one of these. And that's just the nature of the thing. It's unfortunate because I really do think that there would be, albeit niche, but an existent market for these things if they were to happen to make them, just because of how famously awesome these cards can be in certain situations with DOS games and tracker programs and stuff. And unfortunately, it's also not open source, and I don't think the project is available for you to just print your own PCBs and, you know, do it. They really just released these select few PCBs, and then Nicholas, he backed it early and bought one, and then he actually put this together himself. So great job on that. I mean, it looks great. Seriously. That's awesome. Oh yeah, everything except the main chip right there in the middle, he did. And interestingly, there is also a clone of this clone that came out very briefly in Russia, I guess, or it was made by somebody with a Russian website. It was called the Gus R. It's like a clone of this clone. I don't know how that happened, since again, I don't think the plans are out there for it or anything open sourced. So, but yeah, those aren't available now either. So it's just like an unobtainable product, and I don't really like covering that kind of thing, even here on Blurbs, but I do want to show this in action just because it is so unique. It's like a dream come true in a way to have a Gravis Ultrasound clone, because, you know, there's only so many of these that are still hanging around out there, and it's just awesome to have another alternative. And I'm intrigued to try this as well, because I've never used the plug-and plays, only the earlier cards. So yeah. Go ahead and install this and check it out. All right, well, I got the card working, kind of. It's been an ordeal, let's put it that way. Multiple days of troubleshooting, and it's still not 100%. I don't know exactly what's going on, but anyway, some combination of the card, this PC, and the software, and the configuration is all iffy at best. It's kind of working now, so hopefully this will be enough to demonstrate it. But yeah, so this is the Quantex 486. I've done a video here on Blurbs about it before. It's got a Cyrix chip in there. It is not a plug-and-play BIOS machine, though, and this is, the ARGUS is based on the Gravis Ultrasound PNP, the plug-and-play model, which I've never used before. I've got a Classic and a Max and an Ace and some other versions, but like not the PNP. So I don't know. Didn't have any experience with that, but you know, installed it in there and ran the version of drivers and softwares like version 2.23, whatever the latest one was that was listed by the creator of the card on Vogons. It's a nice README and all that good stuff. A lot of documentation was really helpful. Got that installed. It put all the files on there, and it just didn't work. And I figured, oh, maybe it was some weird plug-and-play stuff, because here's some footage of some of that. So you have the PNP configuration. Normally you just hit automatic, but that's not going to work. And it's not a plug-and-play machine. So I just did everything manually and set everything up to make sure it wouldn't conflict, because I had it in there beside a Sound Blaster card, which you typically do with a Gravis Ultrasound, because while it does have emulation for a Sound Blaster, it's kind of terrible. Especially for things like AdLib. So, you know, you usually have cards side by side. Just had to make sure that IRQ and DMA and other addresses didn't conflict. And it was fine. Passed all tests. It ran tests perfectly fine. I was able to open the mixer, and, you know, it would show up in here. Everything was showing up as like, oh yeah, you got a Gravis Ultrasound. Great, right? Apparently not, because nothing else would work. In terms of games, like, you know, I tried maybe a dozen different DOS games that work perfectly fine on this machine with a Gravis Ultrasound, my classic cards. I was just running one of those in here a couple weeks ago to get everything ready, and like it just refused with this Argus card. So I was like, all right, maybe some driver weirdness or something else. I don't know, maybe it was the Sound Blaster. So I removed the Sound Blaster completely, did a complete fresh install of DOS, because, you know, CF cards in the back, it's easy, you just swap them out. Still didn't do it. The most that I could get was sound coming through the test programs. One of these, I don't know, like Play MIDI, or yeah, that just plays MIDI files. And like I said, it was passing all the tests. And it would also do things like Scream Tracker 3 and Impulse Tracker programs would work just fine, because they automatically detect if you have a Gravis card, and then to just set it up, it sets it up in the background. Those programs are great. So I was able to do that. But I wasn't able to get a single game to do any sound at all Didn't know why. So I bashed my head against the wall for a few days of trial and tribulations. I was getting really frustrated. So I just contacted Nicholas and be like, dude, something's going on with his car. Do you have any ideas? And he's just like, yeah, well, turns out there are some weird files and some configuration things and autoexec and config sys and stuff to try, right? Things to disable and enable, whatever. Ended up with this selection of files that came with various versions of the Gravis Ultrasound software set. And I don't know exactly what it was that fixed it, but either way, it's mostly working now. It can at least get games to do things. I probably should have just used another computer from the get-go because it wasn't a plug-and-play BIOS machine and I knew that. However, it should be fine. Like, there's totally all kinds of setup stuff that this comes with. I just don't know. I don't know what it... In fact, okay, hold on. Why did I go back? Let me see if the setup program even runs. Yeah, no, it doesn't. So ever since I've gotten this setup that works, now a lot of the Gravis programs don't work. They were working earlier, and now they don't. It just freezes the system. So like I can do the mixer, I can do play MIDI sometimes, I can do some of the other minor programs, but I can't actually go back into that setup program that does like the IRQ and DMA and whatever else. I don't know why, man. This has been a frustrating process, if you can't tell. However, the Gravis stuff is fantastic. So let's go to one of the trackers. Let's just do Scream Tracker 3. And this has worked no matter what. Like, I just installed the card in here, and it saw it. Didn't have to do anything. So, whatever these programs are doing, it's so much better than, like, Gravis' own software and the games and whatnot. Let's just open Elysium. Yeah. So yeah, this is really where the Gravis Ultrasound shines. Tracker tunes, demo software, yeah, any of that stuff. It's pretty great. And again, had no problems with this at all the whole time. So, you know, that's cool. It just works. Yeah, this one works straight away as well. Again, before I was even diving into all the software driver weirdness. Interesting, it shows up as AMD Interwave revision C. But yeah, full memory detected and whatnot. So let's just, I don't know, let's just play whatever this is. I don't remember what tracks I had in here. I know this is not a direct recording. I'll do some direct recordings at the end here just to let some stuff play out, but from the comparisons I've done and just hearing it, I mean, it sounds like any of my other Gravis Ultrasound cards. Nice, crispy, clean, high quality sample playback output. It's fantastic that this is even a thing. You know, there's a clone of this card now. What in the world? That's so cool. I mean, there were clones in the past, you know, whatever, but like a modern clone, that's just awesome. I love this. When it works. Alright, it's Control Q. Dude, that's awesome. Alright, now let's see if games are still working. Oh my goodness. Here we go. So, we'll see. Ha ha ha! Nope. So, don't know what that's about. Sometimes it's a little finicky, and you just get no sound output from games. I don't know. I don't know why. Let's run the setup again. And yes, this has been patched to work with the Ultrasound plug and play. A lot of these epic mega games didn't work with the plug and play, and you need to use this prep game program, which I've already used on this version of Jazz, so. Whatever. Yeah, when it works great. A bit of slowdown there. Yeah, slowing down a bit more than I'm used to. I don't know if that's the Cyrix or what. Anyway. Yeah. To my ear, I mean, again, I've done some direct comparisons just myself. It sounds fantastic. Like this Gravis Ultrasound experience right here, it's so much better than like a Sound Blaster Pro or 2.0. My goodness. Obviously, you know, much later Sound Blaster cards, they caught up. You can get really good sample playback on those too, especially on a Pentium or whatever. But Gravis Ultrasound, it does all the cool things. And this Argus clone does all of that. It's great. All right, so here's something I want to demonstrate that I had to do with Jazz Jackrabbit. Now, this is Epic Pinball. Oh, refresh rate, sorry, hold on. So yeah, you can go into the setup here and it says ultrasound settings are okay, but you go and run it, you're not gonna get crap. Kind of like what was happening earlier. Now, this is a thing that is separate from the other problems I was having. This one's pretty easy to fix though. So just type in prep game, as long as you have, you know, the proper settings and your startup files going so that it knows where to look for it. But yeah, Ultrasound plug and play prep game from 1995. Basically, this goes through your current folder and updates the files to look for the Gravis Ultrasound plug and play as opposed to the earlier ones like I've had before, the classics and stuff. So with that patched, yeah, you get sound. And again, this is a separate issue than what I was having with all those other things. With or without prep game, it wasn't working until I got those
other drivers and software setup files. But yeah, sounds awesome. Oh yeah. Oh, come on! Well, whatever, you get the point. Oh. It always sounds so good through a guess. And the ARGUS! Let's go to Doom. I was gonna say do something else. Doom. Yeah, this one, again, wouldn't work at all before until I got the files working, but yeah, they're cool now. I think. Doom doesn't sound great with the Gravis. It's effectively just like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. What the heck? I haven't had any problems with it up until now, and I use this thing like every other week. I'm just going to say it's like the software, because I really don't think it's the ARGUS card itself causing all these issues. I think it's just the software, whatever janky configuration we got going, man. Like, it's a combination of, like I said, multiple versions of drivers and stuff for the plug-and-play card, along with some other things. Let's see if Doom works. Come on, DMX. Hey, you see what I mean? Something as intermittent as balls, man. The intermittency is unnerving. Anyway, Doom through a Gravis Ultrasound sounds like balls. Like, you get sound effects. Those are fine. It can do digitized sound okay, but like this? No. Ugh. It's bad. Well, anyway, that's one reason I wanted to open this, is because it's just not great on a Gus. Never has been. So, oh well. It's also running slower too, because like I said, I don't think it's actually taking advantage of any of the stuff that the Gravis Ultrasound can in terms of like on-card processing or making use of anything really that's like awesome about this. It just treats it as like a general MIDI device. I don't know. It's always been unfortunate. And it's the same situation in all my other Gravis cards. This is just sort of inherent to the experience. This is another reason that you really want a Sound Blaster installed alongside a Gravis card, or one of the combination cards that they had later on, or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. There's different options, but anyway, I'm gonna call it here, man. I just wanted to show that this card works, and like, it clearly does. Something is just way off about this entire configuration. So yeah, here's autoexec.bat. Again, was just working through the README files and talking to Nicholas, see how he had it set up. This is the setup that works, but only mostly, as you've seen, it's just very back and forth. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. And then here's config sys, which, you know. Oh, and I have patched EMM 386 in case anyone is wondering. It does like recommend doing that, and that did help as well. There were even more things that were broken until I did that. So that's using a patched version from Gravis for the plug-and-play card, which is the ARGUS, effectively. And man, it works mostly. I'm gonna turn this camera around. Oh man, white balance is off. Everything's off. I don't care. I don't care. Just a little outro here. So anyway, thank you, Nicholas, for sending this Argus over to check out. I wish it worked better. I don't know why it doesn't. It's a cool as hell project. It's so cool that it exists. You know, a modern clone of the Gravis Ultrasound. You know, such a rare, expensive card. Well, not really rare or expensive. It is more than others, right? It's desirable, collectible. Doesn't really matter though, because you can't get one. It's not for sale. It's not open source. You can't just go and you can't even buy a PCB or anything at the moment. I don't know, maybe that'll change in the future, but they're not planning on selling them. The plans aren't like out there for you to just go and make your own PCB. The clone of the clone, even that's not available. It's just a weird project all around, right? How weird is this? There's so many weird little things that add up to make this a really frustrating everything. At the same time though, it's really exciting to have been able to try it out for myself, because I've been curious about this thing for years, following the development of it for years, wondering what would come of it, if anything would come of it, you know, since 2015 or whatever. So yeah, the Argus. Strange device. You can't have one. I can't have one. I'm sending this back as soon as I turn off this camera. And putting this computer back to normal. With the Sound Blaster 16 alongside the Gus Classic, which was fine. Anyway, thanks for watching this blurb.